Welcome to a new edition of the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino. On this episode, we talk with spiritual guide, mentor, and teacher Naranjan Nota. She loves to share what she knows about living many lifetimes on Earth and other planets and knowing all the wisdom from those incarnations. Over the last 20 plus years, she has worked through doubting decisions, feeling inferior from others, embarrassed and ashamed about who she would become in life, impatient that life didn't unfold as predicted by others, and worried about relationships, work, and things she couldn't control. But it was ultimately fear that was holding her back, keeping her small and preventing her from healing and aligning with her soul. She has done a lot with her life and grown and got stronger, and she has great wisdom to impart in this interview. Enjoy this story.
Good afternoon.
It's Joe Dimino. How are you?
I'm well, thank you, Joe. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for taking a minute out today. I appreciate it.
I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
You bet. So before we get into your life and your work and experiences that you've been through, I want to know, the last 2 years has been quite tumultuous, for some others, peaceful on planet Earth. And I'm curious how you did in your line of work over this time and how this time period changed you.
So the last 2 years have been, I think, a bit of a whirlwind for many of us, but personally for me, it's been an opportunity to reflect, do a lot of introspection, but also go on my own healing journey. I'm a true believer that as human beings, we all have an opportunity to do a little bit of editing and do a little bit more healing and reconciliation with what is showing up and how we can learn from that experience and choose it as an opportunity of growth rather than disablement. So for me, it's been very much a growth period, even though some of it has been some challenges. But nevertheless, it's been an opportunity to expand, learn more, gain a greater perspective of what's happening in our current climate on this planet, but also how do I choose to be involved in it, and what is my perhaps next stage or intentions that I want to create for my life, regardless of what's going on outside of the world. How can I change it from the energy and the beingness of how I present myself to the world?
So let's say you're in front of a group of children at a career day, and one of them looks up at you and says, "What do you do for a living, and how are you qualified to do it?" What would you say to them?
I would say to them, I support and allow other people to accept who they truly are. So to be much happier, to be more joyful, and to look at life from a perspective of all the love and all the abundance that's accessible to them. And to look at the joy of life that we have available to us. And what makes me qualified to do it? I've been on the opposite side of that for a good portion of my life. So I feel learning through the lessons that I've lived, which were very hard. I think we're all here to witness those. For me, it was recognizing, looking at life from a different perspective and saying, if I sit in another chair on that side of the table, I will then see the problem differently. So therefore, I will tackle it differently. And I have a choice. So to the child or children, it would be, what are the choices you choose to make? Because everything is a choice.
So I want to take a little bit back into your life to find out where you're at right now. Where were you born and raised, and how did you get this motivation, this zeal for life?
I was born and raised in Britain. I spent many years there. In all my schooling and my education and everything was from there. I now live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And I've been here for probably a good 10, 15 years or so. And that transition in itself, just as any part of life, comes through experiences, life experiences, relationships, school, education, our colleagues, our peers, mentors, whomever, who we surround ourselves with, be it by choice or what we feel might not be choice at that moment of time. And all of those experiences, what I call life lessons, shaped me into who I am today. Putting me in a place and putting me in a position going, okay, I want to live a better version of that. What does that look like? So now I'm in a space of choosing to look at what may deem as a problem, but really is an opportunity. And by looking at it from a lens of an opportunity is more empowering, but also I have more say in being in flow with that rather than creating a resistance to whatever this perceived challenge is, but being in flow with it and allowing perhaps the universal laws to present opportunities for solution. So being in flow and being more creative.
So I'm curious with, living past lives, I try to be open. I'm very open. I don't close the doors to any of the other worlds that we can't see or any of the other realms. And I do believe there's a lot of deja vu and preternatural things that exist. And I'm curious from your perspective, how do you open your mind up? How would one open their mind up to feel that, to understand maybe a more very past that they've already lived or lifetimes in their life? How does that happen?
Perhaps surrendering to everything that we have accessible to us at this moment of time and all that we are at this moment of time are an accumulation of all that we have been and all that we are to be. It may sound very esoteric, it may sound very out there, but as a soul witnessing a human experience, so a soul, an energy, embodying the spirit of this soul as human beings, we have access to all the timelines and dimensions that we have witnessed as a soul as we evolve in this human experience. So one experience, conversation, engagement, or relationship could trigger a karmic lifetime, be it from the past, but it could also be a future one too. So from a relationship, So from a relationship to whomever's in your family, the family, your siblings, your children, all of that encompasses the one aspect of this moment of time. So
I'm curious, because I definitely believe in that. I definitely believe in past and future lineages that share our soul and our journey. And, our concept of spirituality says that, there's a forever, wherever that happens. But on this planet, it's always about the finite time. And I'm curious in other lifetimes if that's the forever, if there's always something more for us to learn. And is there an ultimate ending to anything? Or is it just kind of an infinite thing that we can't wrap our brain around on our finite existence that we have on this planet?
It's the latter for sure. It's infinite. I mean, think about it. If we use the analogy of this planet, Mother Earth, Gaia, whatever name you want to give it, this beautiful consciousness that we live on, as grade school, we're here to learn. And looking at how humans exist, we go to school. So we're in grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we grow. And just because we gain the title of an adult, the growth and the expansion of learning never stops if you choose. But that is something that we have an opportunity for because we have this thing called free will as we come into human form. But beyond the humanness, and as we get into spirit, I am a true believer of the expansion of knowledge, the expansion of experiences, and doing greater and greater things, be it as an energy, as a soul, as an energy, not embodying any human third dimensional density. There is an expansion on a galactic level that happens, and it's only through these experiences that perhaps gives us the skills, the tools, and the lessons in order for us to do and learn even greater levels of consciousness in the outer realms of the universe.
You know, one of my main things my main interviews, my main subject is jazz, and I interview a lot of musicians, and it seems relatively simple when you hear the word improvisation. It's something that you just kind of think about, and it can be temporal. But the more I've interviewed and thought about what they do and how they describe what they do, they have no idea what they're going into. It's going to happen once, and you just don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's the thing that I hear with what you're saying is that you can't really anticipate, but you know that something's going to happen. And I think that's the beauty and what I've learned about the order or non-order of our reality is that those things are so great to look forward to. You just let it happen. And birth is just as much a part of life as death is. And all of those things are so interchanged, but it's weird how as society we are taught that certain things are just so frightening and strange and weird, and how we question even other lives or spirits or anything like that. It seems like we close so many doors so quickly in the human mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's why I am such a lover of art in all creative expression, because it somewhat bypasses the mental component of the conditioning of the world that we live in, because we're always taught to think about this and think about that and what are the repercussions, and strategic and goal setting and all that comes into play, but it doesn't allow the true organic of intuition and flow to happen, which is where the premise and the crux of art comes from, be it from, a canvas and a paint, or be it from a string of music. It comes from that flow state where there is no thinking that happens. It's almost like another part of your self, which is a higher self or your soul, comes in and allows you, and if you allow, will take over and create those beautiful, magical moments that you just referenced. And I think that is the beauty of being not only in flow, but allowing this higher wisdom to flow through you and be captured, be it through a recording studio or be it on a canvas or whatever that may look like. That, I think, is the magic of living life that we have. That's the magic.
So with your life and your profession, with what you do, what do you look forward to the most every day? What is it that you wake up to and look forward to accomplishing in your day?
Being open and hearing what else is possible and allowing that what else is possible to reveal itself. Because we go through a life and we go through a journey going, okay, I've got to do X, Y, and Z. And granted, some of those are third dimensional pieces of life. Got to make dinner, whatever, the physical aspect of life. But even at that, if we expand ourselves, which is how I do it, I expand myself to what else is possible. Yes, this is the intention, but what else is possible? Because the mental mind can create a limitation of completing that task. Whereas if I put out the intention and allow that free flow state and being more relaxed, if you will, in my body and with what shows up, then there's no judgment. And then most of the time, the outcome of whatever that task is beyond what I expected it to be. So really being in flow and allowing my higher self or my soul to really govern my life. So might sound a little strange, but there's not a whole bunch of real thinking that happens. It's rather just following and allowing whatever steps I need to take, that I will do them, but not from a conscious place, but from a knowing place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it sure does. So I'm curious, in your life, who have been mentors or a hero for you that you've looked up to?
Oh, there's many, Joe, from a snippet that I would read in a book to physical people who I've had the pleasure of learning from and witnessing great conversations to people that I've kind of seen on TV shows. So it's been a whole gamut of individuals that I've really learned from. So I don't have any specific ones that I can say, but really the ones that I've had some real deep conversations and learned different perspectives about life, but also mulled over it and really sat with that wisdom for myself. And then reflected on that, going, how is that applicable to me? Where does that sit or dislodge or open up new areas and new aspects of my life that I want to witness here in this world?
So if you could meet anybody alive on the planet right now and have a conversation with them, is there anybody out there you'd love to meet, talk to?
I'm sure there are, but off the top of my head, nothing's coming in right now. I think the first person that kind of came in was possibly Oprah, because I know she has had quite an influence on my life, especially in the earlier days of me stepping into me-ness, into my beingness. So I think the curiosity would be having some enriching and deep conversations, but also some of the other, just other individuals who are creating a movement of self-empowerment and creating a movement and really shifting that scale of what does life look like for you. There are many musicians that I'd be curious to have some deep conversations with. Again, off the top of my head, Joe, I can't recall a whole bunch of names like that. But
what has been one of the best fan or client responses you've ever gotten from somebody?
What has been one of the best? Okay, client responses. One of them is allowing a client to be who they truly feel they are, by providing them permission. So often clients will come to me and preface it, a comment, a remark, or something that they want to delve into or uncover or need more insight on with, this may sound weird, but what's your take on XYZ? So slowly over the sessions that I do with my clients, that preface it has now been removed, and they feel more open and they feel more comfortable and more confident to be saying, I felt this energy and I heard this voice, and what does this really mean? So for them to feel comfortable and confident in having those, what social society has stigmatized as weird conversations, and to reconnect individuals with their own soul, reconnect them with that deeper part of themselves, and allow that dialogue to take place rather than push it away as it been a weird part or something crazy is happening, you know?
If you have a dream tonight and you run into your younger version of yourself, maybe in your 20s, and you can give your younger version a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained in this lifetime, and this isn't about regret, it's about dispensing wisdom onto your younger version, what would you tell that version of yourself?
I would tell that younger version of myself to go within and really reflect on what mark is it you want to leave on the world, but also what are the experiences you truly want to witness? What is it you want to relish in? Because as much as this planet Earth is a training ground, is a lesson, but they're also beautiful lessons, and it's a beautiful place to have some very enriching and joyful experiences. So it would be, how do you truly want to live your life and find those answers from within rather than from without? Not following the muse of others, but following your own inner voice, for sure. That's what I would say.
So I want to know from you, how would you like people to remember you? What you do and what kind of energy you emit? What do you hope people remember you by?
I'd like to think that I supported them to truly step into a life of more comfort, more joy, more peace, and a lightness, knowing that this life is to be lived fully with all the laughter and joy and abundance that we have accessible to us, but also someone who reignited them with their own soul or other parts of themselves. I'd like individuals to remember, whether it be in dialogue with me, physically, in presence, or a connection to something that I've shared, is to really feel a deeper connection to a deeper part of themselves. So an energetic holding space of unconditional love I would like to have imprinted on everything I do, everything I create that is transmitted and out in the world with my print on it, for people to receive it in a place of remembrance of, this is what unconditional love feels like.
So everyone has a perception of you, your family, your friends, your fans, your clients, but ultimately you live your life. You have a perception of who you are. Who do you think you are?
I believe to be a kind, gentle, compassionate, non-judgmental person who has capacity to hold space for individuals who are in pain and supporting them in the transition to a place of unconditional love and place of empowerment, so they can truly live the life that they have access to. And it may sound a little too esoteric and too far out there, but I've witnessed it, I've seen it, and I feel it to my core, that this is the transitional work that I'm here to do on this planet.
So if anyone out there wants to learn more about you and your work and anything involving your world, where can they go? How can they find out?
Thank you, Joe. They can go to brightshininglight.com, which is the website, and I'm on a couple of social media platforms, so LinkedIn, and Instagram, and but brightshininglight.com is the main hub where all the information is going to be available.
Beautiful. This has been wonderful and enlightening. Thank you for opening up. Good luck with everything. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate the opportunity to share. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to another famous interview with Joe Dimino, where we cover the world of art, literature, spirituality, and music around the globe. If you want to hear more interviews, visit the Famous Interviews with Joe Dimino channel on YouTube. Thanks again for listening, and until next time.